story time for you guys as per usual. Today's story time is actually going to be about Robert's funky ass and Drew fighting. What would you call that? Would you call that like a boy fight or like a dog fight or I don't know. Anyways, this is going to be the story about what happened between Robert's funky ass and Drew. Now, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, that's probably because you haven't enlightened yourself, girl, with my other story times involving Drew. So you can find the first story involving Drew here, and also check out my description box below. You want to watch those videos before you watch this one, otherwise ain't nothing gonna make sense, okay? So as most of you guys know, this fight actually took place before my fight in the bathroom with Melissa. Now, I had a poll on my Twitter. If you guys aren't following me on my Twitter, please do so, because I ask you guys a lot of questions and I let you guys participate in which video is gonna come out next. But anyways, I had a poll on my Twitter asking you guys, do you guys wanna hear the Melissa and I story, or do you guys wanna hear about the boys fighting? And my messy ass Glamazon was dying to hear about the fight between Melissa and I, but this fight actually took place before that. This fight did happen before my run-in with Melissa in the bathroom, and this kind of sets the precedent. Now in hindsight, it makes me understand why everything happened the way that it did, okay? As usual, before we get into today's story time, today's glamour shot of the day is my gorgeous Glamazon, Justine. Justine, you look amazing. Stop it. Stop it. You look so great. Thank you so much for sending me your glamour shot, love. You guys know that I would not be here without you, and I could not do this without each and every one of you guys. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Now let's get into this ratchet ass story. Now, in the video where I actually ran into Melissa in the bathroom, I told you guys that Drew was having a party at his house. It was going to be like us watching a boxing match at his house. It was like on pay-per-view. I forget who was fighting. I for the life of me, I can't remember. One day during Spanish class, he invited me. Now, when he invited me, I was super excited, but I had two things to check on. Number one was, is Melissa going to be at this party? And if so, does she have a problem? And two, can I invite Robert to this party because I can't go to your house, Drew, without my boyfriend knowing? So like, he reassured me over and over that Melissa didn't have any idea about me. Now, it was at this moment that he admitted to me that when he broke up with her, he didn't tell her the truth as to why. He told her that he needed space, and he wasn't telling her the full truth about why he broke up with her all of a sudden. So in his mind, there's no way that she knows about me. He never talked about me. She never talks about me. So he was reassuring me over and over. But anyways, we came to an agreement and I agreed to go to this party. So I go home, I'm super excited. I talked to my mom and I invited one of my friends from my shitty school. So I don't remember what I called her, but for this video, we'll call her like Tanya. So Tanya was a friend of mine that I actually met at my shitty school before transferring. And we were still friends at that time. So like, she would come over on the weekends. Like, I had just known her for so many years, and so I would text her or whatever and she would come over. So she was always the first person that I thought of, you know, whenever I was going somewhere outside of my school. I would always invite Tanya. Now, in order for me to go to this party, I have to make a plan that's immaculate, okay? And I have to kind of try to look into the future, because my mother, it was like a game of chess with my mother. I feel like anything that I wanted to do, I had to kind of put pieces in the right place to make everything make sense, because my mom isn't stupid. And so it legit like kept me on my toes. So it was at this moment that I concocted a plan. And my plan was to invite Tanya, because that way my mom is dropping off both me and Tanya and we're going together. I did this because I fucked up somehow. I don't remember how. I think I might have like gotten caught texting Robert or something. So my mom at this time knew about Robert. She just didn't fucking like him. As long as this situation didn't involve Robert, my mom was gonna be fine. Like, my mom just could not stand Robert's funky ass, okay? She just could not. She had no tolerance for him. So after hearing that the parents were going to be there, my mom was like, yeah, I don't have any problem with you going. Like, your grades have been great. Like, go ahead and go. So she essentially let me go to this party to kind of get my mind off of Robert, but Nikki had other plans. The next day I go to school and I low-key invite Robert to this party, and I tell him, hey, you know, Drew's having this boxing match party at his house. He invited me. He said you could come. Like, we should go. It's gonna be so much fun and blah, blah, blah. He didn't even think about it twice, you guys. He was on it. Like, he was like, oh, you're going to a party at Drew's? Oh, I'm gonna be there. And like, I feel like deep down he kind of felt like there was something that had happened between Drew and I, but it honestly wasn't anything that he needed to worry about. I'm just not that fucking type of person. So Robert agrees to go to the party, and like I said, he just kind of acted really weird about it, and he was like, yeah, you know, I'll be there. Like, almost like, I'm not about to let you go there by yourself, so yes, I will be there. Now fast forward, and the day of the party comes around, and I have Tanya come over earlier in the day. She comes over to my house, and we get ready, we get all cute together, and then my mom is driving us to take us to the party. It felt really weird planning on going to his house because of everything that happened between us, and I was like, I'm actually going to this dude's house. Like, how fucking weird. Like, get ready, and it's time for us to leave, and my mom drives us over to Drew's house. Now, Drew lived in a pretty nice neighborhood. He had a pretty nice house, and there were a bunch of cars outside, and my mom dropped us off, and she legit stayed parked outside until she saw Drew's mom and Drew's dad, and then she was like, okay, the parents are here, peace out, and she drove off. Drew greets me and Tanya, and you know, he introduces us to his parents. He kind of shows us around the first floor, and there were a shit ton of people at this party, okay, because his parents actually invited their own group of friends, like older peeps, and then our party was actually going to be downstairs in the basement, so they were like kicking all of the teenagers downstairs, and there was a TV down there, and that's where we were going to be viewing the fight while the adults were watching upstairs, right? And then he takes us to the basement, and he opens up the door, and there are stairs, and I remember as we were walking down the stairs, you guys, my heart was beating so fucking fast because I was like, oh my god, Melissa's here, and like, what if shit pops off the minute I step downstairs? I don't know, you guys. I just feel like my second shitty school really jaded me because I was just so used to people playing games. Like, at that school, there were legitimately dudes that went to that shitty school, and they would know that two females didn't like each other and purposely invite them to the same party just to see shit pop off. My brain is just fucking reeling, and I'm like, oh my god, like, what if this is a setup? Like, what if they just want to see an actual fucking fight, and they invited me and Melissa, knowing Melissa wants to start some shit, and blah, 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 blah. I'm kind of in my old mindset, and I'm just like basically preparing myself for the possibility of getting into a fight the minute that I step down in the basement. So I go downstairs, and you guys, like, within 2.5 seconds, I fucking scanned the entire room just to see, is this bitch here? Do we have a problem? Like, do I have a split second to see the problem and rectify the problem before the problem becomes an even bigger problem, okay? I don't see Melissa. So I was like, oh shit, like, I must be here first. Like, that's kind of weird. And so immediately I just kind of relax and breathe, because now I'm, you know, there's no risk of me getting into a fight as of this moment. Some of my friends are already there, so I say hi to them and I introduce them to Tanya. There was like a long table on the back of the wall, and it was like for refreshments and shit. Drew takes us back there, and he starts pouring us drinks. Like, hey, what do you want? So I think I picked like Sprite or something. And so he's pouring us drinks, and while he's pouring the drinks, I take this second to actually like look around the basement. On one side, there was a sectional couch with a flat screen TV, and then there was a long table on the back of the wall that had refreshments, and next to that was like this little corner, and there were 2 punching bags hanging from the ceiling, and then right next to that was a pool table. I'm looking around the basement, and I see those punching bags, right? And on the back of the wall, near the punching bags, there are framed photos, right? So Drew hands me my drink, and then he goes to pour my friend Tanya's drink. I take my cup, and I'm just like leisurely like walking around and checking shit out, right? I walk over to the punching bags, and I see that there are framed photos on the wall behind it. And so I go up to the photos, and I'm just looking around. When I walked over to this wall, you guys, it was like a plethora of photos of Drew and his older brother boxing, like in actual boxing matches. And there was like, you know, there were 2 sets of boxing gloves hanging on the wall, and medals and shit, and it was boxing memorabilia pretty much. I'm shocked more than anything because out of all the time that I've been friends with Drew, I never knew that he was a boxer. I had no fucking clue that this was a hobby of his. So I'm just sitting there and I'm looking, and Drew walks up and he was like, you like what you see? Oh, like, you're a fucking fighter? And yeah, you know, I've been boxing for over 10 years. And he was really involved in boxing with his brother because his father actually owned a really big boxing gym. So boxing was like his life, and I had no fucking clue. Okay, so like this is the first time I'm ever hearing about this. So, you know, I'm like, oh, well shit, like Mr. Badass over here. So I'm like being kind of like a smart ass about it. It's not really that big of a deal. And I'm learning something new about my friend. All of a sudden, I hear footsteps coming down the basement and I look up towards the stairs and Robert comes down the basement stairs by himself. I wanted to make Robert as comfortable as possible, so I went up and said hi to him. Tanya said hi to him, and Drew decided that it would be appropriate to not say hi to him, even though this is his home. And Drew went instead to sit down on the couch next to some of his football friends, and they all started like whispering to each other like little fucking girls. So it was really awkward, and I could see Robert kind of like looking at Drew every few seconds, because this is his fucking house, you know, and like the host isn't talking to him. Now I'm in the most awkward situation, and I wasn't expecting this. I was expecting an awkward situation of me with Robert and Drew and Melissa and us being in the same room, but now all of a sudden Melissa's ass ain't nowhere to be found. It turned into a really awkward situation for me because now I am alone in my previous crush's house, in his basement, with his parents, with my current boyfriend, and like they're not speaking. So fast forward about a half hour and I'm trying to keep Robert occupied because I don't really want it to be super fucking apparent that Drew is being an asshole, but it's pretty apparent. So I'm doing what I can to try to rectify the situation, okay? Within the next 30 minutes, Robert and I had a game of pool, and like I was just doing everything I could to like distract him. And then it was time for the fight to begin. Everybody starts crowding around the TV, and there's a big like sectional sofa. There were more of us that could fit on that damn couch. So he also had folding chairs down there. So we folded out some chairs and we sat near the sofa in front of the TV. The entire time, you guys, it's so fucking awkward because out of my periph, I could see Drew pitching a fucking fit on the couch with his stupid fucking friends. We start watching the fight. Now, I'm not even shitting you guys. There was a KO in the second round and that was it. It was done. The fight was over and all of us were so fucking pissed because it ended so early. I was like, wow, you know, like basically we came over here for nothing. And at this point, you guys, I was just like done. I was like, you got me here under the pretenses of us waving the white flag and trying to make our friendship work and all this other bullshit, and then I hold up my end of the fucking deal, and for whatever reason, you decide to not only be rude to me, but to be rude to my boyfriend. Like, everybody is just like, oh, god damn it, and like, you know, everybody's like, whoa, what a fucking waste of time and money, and like, you know, it didn't even last that long, and blah, 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 right? So now it's even more awkward, you guys, because there's nothing to focus on. Like, the entire premise of this party is shot because the fight's already fucking over. I guess I'm texting my mama to come get me right now because I ain't got time for this bullshit. I turned to Robert and I asked him, like, I was like, are you ready to go home? Because I feel like I'm ready to go home. And he was like, yeah. He's like, I'll leave when you leave. And I was like, okay, cool. So I turned to my right to talk to Tanya, and this bitch, she was actually in the middle of a conversation with one of Drew's football friends, and we will call him Troy. And she was like all up in Troy's ear and shit, and I could tell that they was flirting. And so I was just like, god damn it, fuck. Now, Drew had actually gone upstairs to talk to his parents, and he stayed up there for quite a while. So it was just all of us kids down in the basement talking to each other, playing pool and shit. So like we were just chilling. And Drew finally comes back down to the basement. And the minute that he comes back down, boom, there's the fucking tension again. Without me even knowing what the fuck Robert was doing, Robert stood up, went to the bottom of the stairs. He said, hey Drew, what's going on? How you doing? And Drew just looked at him, he goes, hey, what's up? Robert was like, hey, you know, what's up? Like, thank you for inviting me. You know, that was really nice of you. And Drew was like, yeah, it's not a problem. And like kept walking while Robert was trying to talk to him. So I was like, so I got up and I grabbed Robert and I was like, hey, I was like, come sit down. And I just didn't want Robert doing the most for Drew when Drew was pitching a fit, you know? Fast forward another 5 or 10 minutes and Tanya was done talking to Troy because Troy was actually leaving. And it was at this point that everybody was like, well, you know, there's no fight going on. Like, I'm just gonna go home. Troy ended up being one of the people that left. He had to like work or something. So all of a sudden Tanya's like, yeah, I'm ready to go. So we're preparing to leave. I'm about to text my mom and all of a sudden Robert was like, hey, I have to pee real fast. I'm gonna go upstairs to the bathroom and I will leave when you leave. And I was like, all right, cool. So Robert takes off upstairs and he's going to the bathroom and it's just me and Tanya. And Tanya is like this on her phone and she's on her phone because she got Troy's number and they're already texting and whoop-de-woo, right? So she's like fucking occupied in her phone. And so I'm just like sitting there like, And all of a sudden, I feel somebody take a seat next to me. And it's Drew. King Drew wants to grace me with his presence and would like to speak with me. Oh my God. That's honestly, like, fuck you. Like, you wasted my time. You made me bring my boyfriend here when I asked you if it was okay and you said yes, and then you were rude as fuck. You didn't say hello to him. You didn't even greet him, and you've just been rude as fuck this entire time, and you're lucky that I'm even here, bitch. Drew is sitting next to me. He's like, look, I'm sorry. I'm not having the best of nights. And I said, and that's my problem. That's Robert's problem. And so every time he said something, I was like cutting him off, and I was like, I don't have time for you. Like, honestly, you're getting on my last fucking nerve. Like, dude, fuck you. Like, you ruined this entire experience. This is the first time I'm able to get out of my damn house and go to a party, and you're gonna do this to me? You're gonna play me like that? You're gonna play me like that? Really? He's like, I'm upset because Melissa texted me last minute and told me that she couldn't come tonight. And what? And I'm searching for the and part. Like, what part of this is going to matter to me? Not one. What part of that gives you the right to treat Robert like that or me like that? Nothing. Not one part of that fucking story. Not one. So what is your point? And I was just like calling him out. I was like, Drew and I are having pretty much a full-on argument because I was like bursting at the seams by this point because I was like, how dare you come and sit next to me after my boyfriend goes upstairs and all this time you haven't talked to me or him, and now you're gonna take this opportunity to creep back over here? Hell no! So I was being loud as fuck. I'm not gonna lie, I was being loud. I was being loud as fuck. You cannot keep taking out on me what you're going through with Melissa. That's not my fucking problem. You have an issue with your girlfriend, you go deal with your girlfriend. I'm not your girlfriend. And the minute I said that, the basement door opens. And Robert makes his way down the basement steps. And Robert came downstairs and I straightened up and I was like, hey babe, are you ready to leave? And he was like, yeah. And he was like, did you text your mom yet? And I said, no, not yet. And so I grab my phone and I go to text my mom. And Drew stops me from texting my mom and he goes, wait, no. Why don't we play a game of pool? I was like, Robert and I already played a game of pool. And I'm looking at him like, the fuck are you doing? Like, what are you doing right now? I looked at Robert and Robert was like, yeah, you know, like, you guys want to play pool? Like, I'm down to play pool before we leave. The boys agreed to play pool, which was like the weirdest sensation of life. I was like, oh my God, my crush and my boyfriend are about to play a game of pool together. Like, this is so fucking weird. So the boys start playing pool. Fast forward a few minutes, they're in the middle of the game and everything seems to be just fine. And Drew comes around to the side of the pool table. He's about to take his turn and shoot pool. And he like leaned over the side of the table and I heard him. He looked up at Robert and he was like, whatever, you can't fight. I saw you get your ass beat 2 years ago. And like, the way Drew said it was just like really condescending and like basically stripping Robert of his manhood in front of me. And so I was like, what the fuck? You got your ass beat by a freshman? Do you remember that? And he started like laughing, like condescending, like fucking laughing his ass off at Robert. And Robert was like, dude, like, why are you even bringing that up? Like, that was such a long time ago. He was like, so what? Like, Nikki already knows about that. Like, why are you bringing that up? Shit, you guys not. The minute shit started popping off and you could hear the boys like going back and forth, Tanya for real was like on her phone. She was like, oh shit, girl, let me watch this. And so like, she like got herself prepared because obviously some drama between the boys was about to fucking pop off. Drew lost his shit. This fucking crazy ass boy decided to take his pool stick and he fucking threw it. He like threw it really low for some reason and it like went across the table and it hit Robert in his stomach. Like the tip of it hit Robert in his stomach and then fell onto the floor. There was something completely different in Drew at that very moment. His entire face changed. He went from being fine to being enraged. He goes around the corner of that pool table and grabs Robert by his shirt, like literally runs him across the room and pins him up against the wall and was like, tell her the fucking truth. Tanya's just sitting there like, oh bitch, like what's going on? Like what's happening? And I was like, shut up. So I run over there and I'm like trying to get in between Robert and Drew legit has Robert up against this fucking wall by his shirt, and Robert's just sitting there. I put one hand on Drew's chest and one hand on Robert's, and I'm like, stop it, stop. And I looked at Drew and I was like, take your fucking hands off of him. He was like, or what? Or he's gonna start fucking crying like a little girl. And he like, when he said that, he grabbed Robert's shirt, pulled him towards him, and pushed him right back onto the fucking wall. So Robert's like head hits the wall, and finally Robert fights back. Robert takes his arm and hits Drew's arms because Drew had him by the shirt, and he goes like that to like get Drew off of him. Drew immediately goes into fucking boxing. Like, I'm talking about full on like side punches, like trying to uppercut his ass, and like has his fucking hands in front of his face, and it's like jabbing really fucking fast, and they're in a full on fight at this point. But so I was like in the middle of them trying to like get them to stop fighting, and fucking punches are being thrown. Now the minute that I see dudes throwing punches, I get out of the way. If I accidentally get hit by one of their blows, girl, I'm dead. I'm like fucking dodging it out. I'm like, stop it! And I'm like, yeah! Yelling, and I'm like, Drew, stop it! And he's like fucking full on throwing punches, and he starts landing them on Robert's face. Robert throws a punch and ends up landing it right on Drew's neck. And Drew kind of like gets dazed by that, and he starts like coughing, and he's like dazed, and he's like, ugh! And he's like coughing, but he's still standing there like ready to fight. While he's coughing, he like turned his head to cough. Robert came up off that damn wall and like fucking bear hugged Drew and took him to the ground, and just whoo, and just they both go tumbling to the ground, and just all I see is fucking punches being thrown and shirts being pulled, and like fucking Robert's shirt ends up getting torn. I just hear and Robert's shirt is torn because Drew is legit pulling on it and throwing punches with the other arm. You guys, they're fucking each other up. All of a sudden, the basement door gets snatched open, and all you hear is just footsteps banging down the basement stairs. And it's Drew's parents, his mother and his father, okay? And at this very moment, Drew and Robert are on the ground fucking each other up. Drew's father was like, what the fuck? And so he went over there and he grabbed Drew underneath his arms and like picked him up. The minute that he saw his dad, Robert stopped. He just stopped fighting. Drew wouldn't say nothing. Drew would not say a fucking word. So Robert just kind of sat there, and they're like trying to catch their breath. And all of a sudden, Drew's mother, okay, and I will never forget this because I was so embarrassed. Drew's mother said, you guys, you all need to leave. All of you. You guys are not welcome in my home anymore. You're just bringing drama into my house, and you guys need to leave now before I call the police. I looked at his mother and I said, okay, that's absolutely fine. I will respectfully leave your home. And she was like, good, and take all your shit too. And I looked at her and I said, ma'am, please don't cuss at me. I was not the one fighting down here in your home. I will leave. We essentially get thrown out of Drew's house, okay? It was such, you guys, it was so fucking embarrassing. So yeah, so we ended up getting kicked out, and my mom picked us up, and Tanya and I did not say not one word. To this day, my mom does not know about this happening, because obviously I'm not gonna tell her, because then she's gonna be like, oh my God, you invited Robert after I told you not to be messing with his funky ass. So I would have gotten in trouble too. So I didn't say nothing to my mom. So my mom is probably finding out right now. Sorry, Mom. Like, me and Drew legit fought each other's boyfriend and girlfriend at least once. So that is it for today's story time, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it and found it entertaining. Now in hindsight, I can laugh about it, but in the moment, girl, I was not laughing. This was not fucking funny to me, and I was fucking pissed. But that is a story about the time that Drew and Robert's funky ass had a full-blown fist fight at Drew's house, and yeah, it was ratchet as fuck. So that is it for today's video, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to give me a huge thumbs up to let me know. It helps me out a lot. Also, let me know your thoughts down below. Have you ever had a situation like this happen, like where your man got into a fight with one of your friends, like, or is that just me? It's probably just me, never mind. If you guys aren't already subscribed to my channel, please don't forget to hit that huge subscribe button to be notified of each time I upload a video here on my channel. If you're a little lost, please don't forget to check out my storytime playlist. I will leave that down below for you guys so you guys can kind of get caught up and get situated. Thank you guys so much for coming and chilling with your girl Nikki for story time. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I love you guys, and I will see you guys in my next video. Peace out. Dude, never again. Never again. My head hurts so bad from having that ponytail on. Ah. Okay, peace out.